Hello, hope everybody's doing well. Thanks for your patience this week while I have been working through the issues with Blackboard and MindTap. I about have everything straightened out and hopefully we won't have any further problems with this semester. I'm sorry for the inconveniences and the confusion, but hopefully we're all good now. You see my Kleenex close at hand when I need to cry over MindTap and Blackboard, not really. So let's start off by talking a little bit about MLA citation, and then we'll talk some about your essay that you're working on. So MLA, Modern Language Association, we use this in English, we use this in many of the humanities. It is a citation style that is very much focused on being able to find precise passages in precise places, as opposed to APA, which, while it typically will include page numbers in your in-text citation, also includes the year, very much more focused on when things were published, which makes sense because it's used in psychology, a lot of science-based fields, medicine, etc. So there are many citation styles. All you need to worry about right now, though, is MLA. If you take English 112, then you will end up working with APA as well. And I know many of you have some experience with it from psychology and other courses. So I will never tell you to memorize a MLA citation. Excuse me. I want you to always use the resources that you have at hand. But if you find yourself needing to or wanting to memorize one to make it easier, I recommend a basic book citation. It's the easiest one, it's the simplest one, and it's the one that all of the other citations for all of the things are based on. So grab a book off my shelf. This is The Old Order by Catherine M. Porter, old paperback. So when you need to cite a book, you need the author's name, the title of the book. You need the publisher, which can typically be found on the title page right here. So Harvest HBJ, Harcourt Brace Jovanovich. We used to need the city of the publisher. MLA doesn't ask for that anymore. You also need the year of publication. You can generally find that on the back of the title page in the copyright section. You will notice here there are many, 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 many years. You will use the latest year because that is the year typically that the book you're holding was published. So this one is 1972. Okay, so what does that look like? Well, when we put this together in our works cited entry, whoop, delete. We start with the last name. We italicize the name of the book. We then put in the title and the year of publication, which I believe was 1972. Let me double check because I don't trust myself. 1972 is correct. That's it for a basic book. Super, super simple. And I don't know why my italicizing did not hold up. Let's try that one more time. Okay, it's not going to show my italics, but we do italicize book titles. Okay. Now, an in-text citation would be the author's last name and the page number, unless you use the author's name in the sentence. So I could say, passage states I'm pulling this from page 33. So if I say the passage states the grandmother came into the house quite flushed. Porter, author's last name, and then the page number if you have one. When you're working with electronic sources, you may not always have a page number. So that is okay. If you don't have a page number, you skip it. The point of the in-text citation is to direct your reader to the entry on the works cited page. So whatever comes first in that citation is typically what will appear in your in-text citation, okay? So if you are working with a source that doesn't have an author, the title would come first, and you would have an abbreviated version of the title here in the in-text citation. I know you're getting this covered in your 011 and in your activities for the class, but I just wanted to review it a little bit. Also notice a quote should not be by itself in a sentence. No quote should float. You should anchor your quotes in your passages. So here I've written the passage states, da 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 da. I could also say Porter states, and then just use the page number in my citation. So remember to close the quotation marks before the citation and to put your period after the citation. Same here. Okay. If you are working with a text that has multiple editions and multiple authors, let's do an example of that. I pulled my copy of They Say, I Say off the shelf. This is an older edition. It's the one we were using a couple years ago. It has 2 authors. So I would just invert the first author's name. Always use title case, even if your publications don't. 4th edition, Norton, and I will need my year, which I'm looking up. 2018. Okay. Super simple. And I cannot get my italicizing to work, but the title of the book should be italicized. They Say, I Say, the Most Matter in Academic Writing. All right, so we only invert the first author's name. We put the edition after the title. And if I were going to cite this, it would be Graff and Birkenstein in the citation. And then whatever page number if I were using a print edition and had a page number. Okay. If you have 3 or more authors, MLA lets you use et al, et space al period, so that you don't have to type out all the authors. So if this had like 5 authors, it would be Graff et al in my in-text citation. So I hope that helps a little bit as you are working on quoting and citing. Keep in mind that you always cite quoted material, paraphrase material, etc. Now, paraphrasing is when we take the author's idea and put it in our own words. And you should use your own words, your own sentence structure, all of that, okay? You should not be using phrases from the author if you are paraphrasing. Anything that is directly quoted material from the author should be put in quotation marks, okay? Paraphrasing takes time and it takes practice. For the next essay we work on, you do not have to paraphrase. That is not required, but you are welcome to practice it, and I do encourage that. You will have to paraphrase at least twice in your research paper that you turn in towards the end of November. So, that paper, let's talk about it. Let me share my screen. Okay. So, what we have coming up, so this week, basically reviewing the assignment, which we're about to talk about, annotating the assignment, getting moving on that assignment. Next week, you will need to upload your MLA formatted citations for your sources, your points for each side, and you'll practice quoting, paraphrasing, and citing in an activity. So let's talk about that assignment. So the argument analysis essay, you are just stating 2 sides of the argument. You are not making an argument, okay? That's the important thing. You should not be having bias here. You are presenting what one side believes or what the other, and what the other side believes, or what, you know, one solution is and the other side to that solution, for instance. So you should be researching your topic, presenting 2 sides of the issue with no bias. Use at least 2 reliable sources for both sides of the argument for a total of at least 4. You may use more than that if you want to, but you must have at least 4. So next week, you're going to submit the issue, the 2 stances you're looking at, and those sources for approval. You'll list your points for each side and the sources for approval. This does not have to be a full formal outline, but you do need to have your MLA formatted sources included. So I'll walk you through what you need. So in your opening paragraph, introduce the issue, explain why the debate's important. You should still have a clear unified thesis statement. We'll talk about that a bit next week. Explain one side of the issue, bring in your evidence from reliable sources. Explain the other side, bring in your evidence from the reliable sources. Conclude, summing up the differences between these stances. You have to use some quotations in the essay. You are welcome to paraphrase. You will need in-text citations and a works cited page. You will submit this essay to Blackboard. There's a rubric on the next page, which we'll talk about in more detail before the assignment is due. So that's the rundown. After reading this essay, I shouldn't know what side you're on, okay? It should just be presenting these 2 sides. Now, if you're having trouble finding sources, please talk to me or get in touch with the librarians. Ms. Pruitt will help. Our other librarians will help. We have resources available for you. You can use the library's databases to find resources. If you have questions about whether those sources are reliable, let's talk about it, okay? You have to submit your sources and sides next week. Okay, I need to look at that and make sure you're on the right track. If you have concerns, submit them early. I will be dipping into the grade center and turning those around pretty quickly. Okay. I've graded most of the ad evaluations. There are a few left. That's a few of the last ones to come in. I'm taking care of. At this point, if you have not done that assignment, if you have not turned that assignment in, it is best to move on with your research project if you're planning to stay in the class. Also, if you're not submitting writing assignments, this is a time when you really need to think about whether you're going to continue in this class. I have a lot of folks who are in the course but not submitting the writing assignments, doing inquisitives, doing checkpoints, but this is a writing class, and I've been providing feedback, and you've been having practice with these writing assignments. If you are not doing the writing assignments, it's time to think about where you are in the class. If we need to have a conversation about that, I'm happy to do so. I'm glad to have a meeting with you. I know a lot of you drop by my office and I'd love to see you. If that's not convenient for you, we can certainly make an appointment, or you can drop into the virtual office. But I do virtual appointments even when I'm not in the office. So if you feel like your schedule's weird and you don't think you can come to my office, I'm happy to set something up with you. Sorry, I was checking the door. I thought somebody was outside. Speaking of people dropping by my office. So if you have concerns, please talk to me. If you have questions about your work, please talk to me. I'll be getting the last of the ad evaluations back shortly, and definitely look at that feedback. If you need help figuring out what's going on with your formatting, if there's something that I've mentioned that you don't understand, let me know. You can email me. If there's something you want me to cover in a video, put it in a checkpoint or send me an email or come talk to me. I'm happy to do it, and I'm happy to work with you one-on-one on issues as they're coming up. Let me know what you need. Let me know how I can help. Next week, I'll post a video going over the rubric. I'll talk a little bit more about source use and some of the finer points of that. And I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and let me know how I can help you. Y'all take care.